Hello to everyone. Warm welcome to the wide audience who follow us on social media right now, on Facebook page of EENCE, and hello to the audience who have registered beforehand and they directly participate on today's panel discussion. Today is 26th of June and we start second EENCE Club entitled Cultural Re-Evolution, Art and Civic Activism. Let's discover together cultural evolution and re-evolution. EENCE Club aims at promotion of democratic development and citizenship education through creation of a space for public debates and experience sharing. All EENCE clubs are within the themes that focus on sustainable development goals of UN, that is SDGs. EENCE Club will last till November, so twice a week we will have online events, both panel discussions and experience sharing as well. Today, with a great panelist and moderator, we will speak up about SDG number 11. Together with the panelists coming from Sweden, Poland, and Ukraine, we will discover the world of visual art, the world of photography, digital technologies, multimedia, posters, dance, theater, community public art, video art, and much more. We will discuss the role of culture and art in UN's Sustainable Development Goal, how to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. EENCE Club is organized by EENCE in the framework of Citizenship Education Week, entitled Art of Living Online, and supported by Federal Agency for Civic Education using the funds that are coming from Federal Foreign Office of Germany. Some technical announcement for the audience and the followers in social media platforms. The panel discussion will last exactly 1 hour, but we will have a space and time for Q&A session. The Q&A session will last 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, please address it at the chat box in Zoom or drop your question in a comment box in social media platforms. If you follow us on a Facebook or other social media platform, you are free during the Q&A session to unmute yourself and directly ask it to the exact speaker or speakers. If your question is addressed to a specific speaker, please mention it during your question. Also, feel free to introduce yourself while addressing a question, like your name, surname, country, organization, if any. The panel discussion, including the Q&A session, is moderated by Rima Milinkova. She is an artist and art gallery curator. She is also an associate professor at Sumy State University, Ukraine, and an educational programs designer at Lifelong Learning Center NGO. Rima is a leader as EENCE Working Group Art for ACT. Rima is a curator of international poster competition devoted to civic education with an interesting name, The Art of Living Together. The focus of her attention is community public art as a tool for civic education. Dear audience, let me introduce the organizer of EENCE Club project, which history goes back to 2015. It's Eastern European Network for Citizenship Education with the mission of to have a tangible contribution to the sustainable development of civil society in the Eastern Partnership region and Russia through widening the citizenship education sphere and developing the capacity of the institutions and experts in the field. So if you are interested to become a partner organization or a member of the network as an individual expert or as an organization, check the details, the regulations, the deadlines, the procedure at eence.eu. This year, EENCE is full of various activities. Some of them has already started, the rest will start soon. So among the activities, I can highlight 3 big activities, which is Citizenship Education Week. The preparation of the week has already started. Within the week, we will have competitions of posters, competition of best practices, publications, etc. Within the week, we have already started the EENCE Club, which is in progress now, and you all at this very moment are part of it. And the next one is Excel and Elevate Master Classes, which is a series of master classes to develop specific knowledge, competences and skills of the network members and beyond. So, and finally, I'm Narina Teknajan, the co-founder and trainer at Youth is Power NGO, the member of EENCE Coordination Council, the leader at EENCE Working Group Women in Local Communities, as well as project manager of EENCE Club. I wish us a useful and productive panel discussion full of beautiful moments, culture and art, and leave a floor to the moderator of today's panel discussion, Rima Milinkova. Please enjoy the process. Rima, the floor is yours.
Thank you and welcome to the panel discussion, Cultural Revolution, Art and Civic Activism. Let me say some words. Everyone knows that the world is becoming increasingly urbanized, and rapid urbanization is resulting in both ecological and humanitarian crisis. Let me clarify what is the goal here. SDG 11 aims to make cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable, what means comfortable for everyone to live together. And people involved in education, culture, and art are also urban actors who influence humanity implicitly. The better conditions we create for the community, the greater effect on level of life we make. Well, here we see culture and art as a tool for such influence. And that's why, dear audience, let me introduce the speakers. It's an honor for me to introduce Volodymyr Nyankin, Ukraine, a journalist by his education. He is a singer, a theater actor, a co-founder of the family theater, the Theater of the Nyankins, organizer of different international theater and music festivals. He is also the head of NGO Art Wave in Ukraine. Volodymyr, can you please introduce yourself? And I know that you have brought a subject to show, a subject which is symbolic for you to explain what is art.
Yeah. Hi to everybody. It's nice to see you today. So today I took this branch of a tree with me. For me, it's a very good symbol of an art and me in art. At first, I think this branch was a work of art when it was a tree. The branch was an artist who gives its beauty to those who look at it. When it was cut down, its value was just utilitarian, just to burn in the fire. But when I took it with me, cleaned it, varnished, the branch again became a work of art. So just for me, I would like to stay in art like this branch, just changing in a time and space, flowing from one type of art to another. And if it's necessary to burn on the fire of art, that's not a problem for me.
Wow, thank you for your introduction. This is really a visit card of Volodymyr Nyankin. Thank you very much. And the next speaker is Arsen Mehrabian. He presents Sweden. Arsen is a ballet master, choreographer, a former principal dancer at Royal Swedish Ballet. He is Chief Executive Officer at Forceful Feelings, the mobile professional belly company. Arsen, as far as you are doing something with the body, maybe you don't have a subject, but you can produce some movement to show what art is for you, to make a self-presentation this way.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Yes, my name is Arsen, and I represent Sweden. Also a little bit of Armenia, half of it. So I just had idea, because I don't have a subject, so I draw these two circles. These two circles has been very symbolic with me for many years. It's culture always meeting the education. So it's always in the circle, two things going around, and one doesn't work without the other one. So it's very symbolic for me. These two circles just came to my head. And also very shortly, what is art for me? It's absolutely a creative skill and imagination of the human being. And any creation, any little creation is art of the human being. So that's what I think. Yes, shortly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And the last but not the least, our speaker is Mila Avsienko from Poland. She is a visual artist and photographer, PhD student and teacher of photography and multimedia at Faculty of Art of Kazimierz Pulaski University of Technology and Humanities in Radom. Dear Mila, please introduce yourself and art in your life. And if you have something material to demonstrate it, please, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this interesting discussion. Okay, so maybe I will start with the object. So I can't hold it in my hands because it's not that small. So it's behind me. So basically, what is it? It is a photo enlarger, which we use in the photo lessons to develop the photo in a dark room. So what is art for me? Basically, is the way as a larger works. So art is shortening the distance between the object and the viewer. So it is a communication tool to express ourselves and to transfer the message which we want to say to everyone.
Thank you, dear Mila. And now let us get started with the first question, and every speaker will have an opportunity to answer it. So the question is, do you agree that art is a sphere of entertainment? Or if it has other functions, what are they? Dear Mila, can you go on answering this question, please? The functions of art.
Sure. Well, I can say that art has only entertainment function, but it is true. In some part, it has this function because we are all seeking for exciting moments, some inspiration, some atmosphere. We want to go to the exhibitions, we want to go to the cinema, to the theater, to see some performances and installation. But this is a really like tiny part of the function of art. I believe that art can educate us. I believe that art can involve people into social life by different actions. I believe that art could organize and could describe certain topics for everyone in an understandable way. Even if we are not from the same country, it can bring us together. It's a common language for everyone, especially visual language. It's understandable for each person, even if it's a children or it's a younger people or some group of disabled people. But it's important to bring all of us together. And art, of course, helps us to do it.
Thank you, dear Mila. And I have the same question to Arsen. That's very interesting because I can understand that people who are performing contemporary dance, they are involved deeply into this art, but people who are watching art, not involved directly, is it just an entertainment for them, or you can provide any other functions? What is it about dance?
I agree. Yes, it's absolutely an entertainment, but not only. Entertainment art is it's a form of activity that holds the attention always in interest of the audience, or it also gives a pleasure to the audience, which presents like on stage we are entertaining, you know, the people. But it has a different introducing always. It develops also to master different styles, you know, when you're on stage. So having the art, it's developing and educating also the audience, you know. It's before, we have to also think before the humankind learning to read and read and talk, we depended mostly on the visual symbols, expressing the meaning. To learn, making art is also specific for the audience. It requires always to think different way, yeah. And their audience, when they create, when you create, the audience always takes it a little bit different. So it has both sides, has this subject somehow, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the great idea about the visual and audio image, which was very ancient, yeah, and perhaps our brain can also read it quickly, than maybe the verbal messages. Yeah, that's very interesting opinion. And Volodymyr, the same question to you. So do you agree that art is made only for entertainment?
You know, in my relationships with an art, I was on the side of the artist and as well on the side of the manager. And manager who should think about how to entertain the audience and no doubt to sell art. Because, you know, very often people of art believe that their works have value in just themselves. You simply transfer your thoughts and ideas into paper, plays, music, and whether they will be interesting for the people, they do not care. Because I think very often people from art sphere, they believe that that the mass art, to which they have nothing to do, should entertain the public. So as the person who created and creates art products, I think that this opinion has a place to be. But as a manager, I have a different opinion, because when we were creating a huge theater festival in Sumy, we could have followed the path of, you know, purely intellectual theater. But we knew that there are not many such spectators in our city. Therefore, we have chosen the path to raise the intellectual bar of our festival every year, by a little, but every year. And thanks to this, after a few years, we were able to start bringing more complex performances, and the audience was ready for these performances. But in reality, the functions of art are even more complex and varied. And in our private theater, we work with children from an orphanage. And here we see how important the educational function of art. Because when we started to study with them I think 8 years ago, many children could hardly speak, could hardly talk. And then 3 years ago, one of our students, he became an art student and professional actor. And just last year, he became an actor in a state theater, professional actor in a professional theater. The same goes with theater for people with disabilities. It's called MIE, or like we are. So for them, for these people, theater has become not only a place of communication, creativity, and something like etc. Here it's just a place where they can just bring their problems to society and to receive feedback.
Okay, thank you, dear Volodymyr. We will expand on it just a little bit later in the next question. But thank you very much, because you've given me the idea that even if art is just an entertainment for a lot of people, we as civic actors and as educators can use this function for transferring some other functions like educational one. Yeah, thank you very much. Absolutely. Yeah, for this insight.
I just wanted to add a little that I think the most important for people from the art sphere is to entertain himself, ourselves, and then it's just we just give it to the audience.
Ah, yeah, you mean to be inspired. Yeah, I see. Yeah, great. And the next question, which is pretty serious, is why do people need art, and how does art make society in general, cities, towns, villages in particular, more sustainable? How art can help our living together? Dear Arsen, you will first answer this question, and answering it, can you please focus on Sweden or Armenia on a particular place? What are the urgent issues which can be solved with the art impact, and what impact can dance have in this country?
In the cities, it's a little bit easier because we have space, we have theaters, we have, in Sweden, they call black box, where you can perform different kind of art forms and different styles. I believe for the villages, it's very important to make bridges, the cultural bridges between the cities and the villages. And for me, it has been a big example when I was in Sweden. In Sweden, they have this Northern Dancing North, because it's a festival, where I met a woman many years ago, and she said, you know, in Sweden, we have only doing art or performances mostly in Stockholm, but the other small cities, they have no possibility. So they created this Dancing North, this amazing festival. It's a small cities where they have no light, it's always snow, you know, they created this space, small black boxes, which is a great idea, and I'm trying to give this idea also to Armenia, that it can make people, you know, more easier just to come and to watch art in that space. It doesn't matter how big is it. It doesn't matter how many seats you have. It can be very small, but it's very important, I believe, to have this communication with the big cities and the villages, so it can make more sustainable. Also, very important, I work in Sweden at International Dance School for children, and in Sweden is very advanced in a modern dance, but they are not so advanced educating little kids to tell the stories, to play a story. So this was our aim with this school, to build a community with the little children, to have a story ballets, and also so we can travel with the story ballets to the small towns and the cities, so the people can have access to that also. So that's for me was a very important, very important question. And this I've seen in Sweden, and they did it very well. So I think this is important to do everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And the same question to Mila Avsiyenko. Mila, answering the question, why do people need art and how it can influence our cities, can you tell us, please, what the situation in Poland is? Polish society is politically active, and from time to time we hear the events about protest strikes or different other actions. What challenges does the community have, and how can art influence it?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, I think that art is always preserve what historical facts can do. It tells us how it feels to live in a certain place and time. So, of course, Polish society is active, not only politically, but also ecologically. And probably you hear that during the pandemic this year and the previous year, we had a lot of strikes. So, and how art could help people to be seen and to be heard by the government and by the other people, I will show you. I will just quickly show you my screen. Okay, do you see something?
Yes.
Okay, I will start with this. So that was a pro-abortion protest. And as you see, that's a posters that Polish artist Ola Jasionowska made for these strikes. So basically she started with a lightning sign, as you see the red lightning. It is a strong, as I say, logo for all of women's and people who went to the streets to tell their stories. And this lightning was used in a lot of different posters. Also, it was glued on many windows. So as you walk in on the streets and you see all of these red linings in front of the building, it makes you feel that something is going on. And this is what art is doing, basically. This is a small, tiny sign, but it tells so many stories. And it feels that there is a tension in society. There is something that is going on. So with this small visual signs, we can tell a strong message. Please hear us, right? And one more example, which Eva Partum, this is also a Polish artist, she done a performance and installation in 1971, so like 50 years ago. And there was also a regime in Poland as well. And a lot of things was forbidden that time. And she just took the road signs and put it on the square, the Freedom Square in Warsaw. And people were crossing that signs and they didn't know if it's art or if it's real signs. So she was joking that this installation explains how it felt to live in this country in 1971. You even know if it's something is forbidden or something they allow to do. And that was a specific art language that she developed. That was the first time when the installation and art went outside of the museum. So that is the main point, to go outside and to show your message to to people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Mila, for visualizing the experience, the art experience, and the same question to Volodymyr. Well, Volodymyr, you are a widely traveled person, but you have chosen to live in your motherland, in Ukraine. Tell us, please, what challenges does Ukraine have now that can be solved with the influence of art?
I think that the challenge facing Ukrainian art workers, in my opinion, now it's to integrate their art into the international one. So we need to be like in a context of modern art trends, but at the same time we need to bring our unique national characteristic into it. So in one hand, we need to be on the same like wavelengths within the international art, but on the other, not to lose our identity. I mean, for example, art performances are absolutely not popular in Ukraine, and mostly people do not understand what it is. And I just want to tell you about one example about one of our art performances in our tiny city. So we have a small river. It flows in the center of our city, and it has not been cleaned for many years. So the river is completely covered with reeds. So I got the idea of a performance. We went down into this river and trim reeds just like for an hour. In a parallel, our colleagues sang national Ukrainian songs about harvesting. And lots of people came there, and it was a great resonance in the city. And especially this performance did not like the city authorities and our mayor, because they thought it was like a political statement. But for us, we just wanted to show through art the absurdity of the situation when in the center of the city, instead of a river, we see a huge field of reeds. So, for me, I think our challenges for art people in Ukraine is to make this maybe sometimes very strange projects, projects with a huge resonance, but we should just pay attention to an art, and with an art to sometimes to help to solve some projects in our society.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, dear Vladimir. And the next question is, please tell about the ideas, share the ideas from your practice, which can make our cities more sustainable. Tell about successful experience of how influence society through art. Arsene, can you please focus on the sphere of your expertise, dance and ballet, maybe body language, as a unique way to transfer certain messages?
Yes. Me as a young dancer, when I just came to Europe, the beginning when you're young, you just mostly think about your career and your dancing and having fun with it. After a while, me as Armenian first coming to Germany and then Switzerland and after to Sweden, I realized that with my everyday work that I want to build something for the future. So that idea came where I decided to create this small group, the Force Fulfilling Dance Company, that it can be a mobile company. And it's that the idea is to bring messages to different countries, to different cities, especially to Armenia in that time, and to present different art forms, not art form, I'm sorry, to present different styles, which in that particular time Armenia never had, because we are based on the classical ballet or classical music, or so. That was my first experience as a building that company for my practice, and bringing different styles to Armenia, introducing different choreographers. After that, for me also was very important, how can I make for children, again, I'm coming back to children, that's most important thing now for me. I work a lot with the children. A few years ago, I I was in Armenia, I was invited for the 90th anniversary to create the Little Prince, a ballet for the national school here. And that was also a very big educational and I believe cultural step to bring closer to the children so they can same time, it's like reading a book, you know, when you create a ballet. Also with your body language, it's very important how you speak, you know, the dance, it's absolutely, for me, it's a language that you have to be able when you're on stage to speak, because we can't say the words, so we have to express with our body. If you want to say, I love you, or I want to say, come with me, or rather this and that. So that is very important, a part that needs to be transferred the message very clearly to the young generation. And then after that, I believe they will transfer to the other person. So that creation part for me was very important from my practice. And also the pandemic time, we decided with my European friends to create online classes, dance classes called Dance Zoom, which has different styles. Like we have a yoga, we have meditation, we have Pilates, we have a classical dance, we have a gym, like a workout. And at the same time, we asked the teachers also to explain when there's a young audience, not only physical, also in educational way, to explain them and to keep them going forward, because it was a very hard time, especially for the young ones, that they wanted to be active and to be creative. So these three things from my practice has been very straightforward, yeah, all this time.
Thank you very much. And the same question to Mila. Mila, I know that you are into ecological issues also in your art. Can you please share your ideas or experience which you think can make influence on society?
Yeah, sure. I think that bringing the idea of sustainable living, like as a everyday routine, I first discovered when I went to Finland as Erasmus Plus student, and I saw how do they separate the waste and how do they live like their daily life. And I discovered a rule of 3R. It's reduce, reuse, and recycle. And this is 3 points which everyone needs to follow if we want to live in a good environment, right? So I made a project then. I will share the screen one more time. Okay, I made a project about plastic. So plastic is my trigger point all the time, because there are a lot of wastes, especially of plastic bags and plastic bottles nowadays. So the question was, do you want to be wrapped like an apple in a supermarket? And you see, like, my model was wrapped in a plastic as well, and she didn't like it for sure. And this is a few photos from the exhibition in Poland I made. And you know that the waste of the plastic bags, if you say yes to 1 plastic bags, you say to 1,000 years of decomposition of this plastic, right? And 3 topics that I wanted to show to the audience is breathe it in. Try to breathe if you are inside the plastic bag. Touch it. Just imagine that everything around you is made from plastic. Feel it. Just, you know, when you're entering the beach and everything around you is just like a plastic bags, plastic bottles, and other stuff, you don't feel well, right? And then try to enjoy it. So probably it's a question now. how can you enjoy the plastic world, right? And another thing, which now, okay, I will just show the screen one more time. Sorry, which now goes in Poland. So Gdansk is the city in Poland which came up with the idea with city meadows. So this is the answer of the city Gdansk to the environmental changes, the temperature changes. So they started with the idea to make the meadows in the center, in the city center, and made a photo contest for the people, especially for the children, for younger generation. And there was a big photo contest, so everyone was involved in this project. And everyone should understand that the meadows is a better resolution than just the flat grass, because it saves the water stays in the ground, and it's a home for the bees and for the small animals. So this is as well a good idea for sustainable city, and how art can help to share it through society.
Thank you, dear Mila. And now I would like to ask Volodymyr. Volodymyr, I know that in your family theater, for example, you work with inclusive groups. You work a lot with children who are orphans, with people with disabilities, and other people who we can say are vulnerable. Can you please share the ideas from your experience which are influential, you think, in society and in your city?
Thank you. You know, as I would said above, we have huge, we have lots of projects. So I will just share my experience from different parts. At first, I want to say that when we are starting new project, we always try to look far into the future, because I think you should, you know, dream big. So for our rock festival, our project helped to develop a very small town into a really tourist center of Ukraine. Because this city is very small. Its name is Trostenets. It just 20,000 of people live there, and now more than 10,000 people come to this rock festival every year. And I think it helped the city to to make a dot in a map of Ukraine and even Europe, because now they often win international grants, for example. If we are talking about our theater festival, I think we help to develop the local audience, because raising this intellectual bar of the festival from year to year, after 8 years of our festival, we think that we have created like a new generation of spectators. And the result, I think, for me is just that we help to improve our local theaters, because just 1 year ago, our Sumis theater was awarded like the title of national theater. And I hope that our festival helped with this. For the people with disabilities, I think our work with them, it helps not only to just realize their creative potential, but also we help to improve their everyday life. Because for them, it's not only just to play in the theater. It's communication. Many people, I told you, many people began just to speak, and before they could hardly tell just a word. And speaking about our family theater, about our some collaboration with an orphanage with children from this kind of place. I think it was a great thing for them to just socialize them, and then they traveled a lot, because a few years ago we were invited to play in a main theater of our Ukraine. It's a Franco theater, and it was an invitation from wife of our former president. So I think the memories for these children, they will keep it for the end of their days. And just a little bit about our family theater, about our actors, because we have professional actors and we have people without theatrical education, and they have daily jobs where they can make money, but they could not realize their creative personalities on these jobs. So after their regular day, they just come to our theater and they can make something to remember, to realize their creativity and so on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a great experience. Okay, and the last general question to you. And before I will announce this question, let me also encourage our audience, people who are listening. Thank you for being with us. And dear listeners, you can write your own questions if you have them into the chat box. And then at the end of this session, we can ask these questions, ask our speakers to answer them. Well, so the next question is, if you accept that art is a tool helping humanities to survive in the cities, can you please tell us how can art transfer the messages of civic education? And does it really have impact? What do you think about that? Mila, what do you think?
I think, of course, art can be a vehicle for the social changes, but to do that, we need to involve people in certain process. So the first step is to encourage people. And by doing this, like, it's not an easy task to encourage and engage people, because we're surrounded by a lot of messages, a lot of pictures, day by day, a lot of advertisement, and our subconsciousness and consciousness just can't do it anymore. So we need to find more and more creative ways to involve people in certain process. And I will show my screen once again, if you don't mind. There was, one second. Okay, there was a project in Vienna. The artist named the System Collective. This is a group of scientists, of artists, engineers, people who work in digital technologies. So they came up with the idea in 2020 to demonstrate the art outside on the streets using your phone. Everyone now has the smartphone, and 1 year ago all the galleries were closed, and people was seeking to art, to see art, to feel it, to have new inspiration and feelings. So the thing that you could do is just turn on your phone, switch to the application of the System Collective, and hold your phone, and you will see the artworks from different artists through the city. So in reality, there is no art, but when you hold your phone, you will see the artworks. And this is a perfect example how art and technologies could help to educate people, because of course this is an exhibition, but by using this technology, we also can educate people, right? We can share the stories we can share the history of some places. And this is a new way, and this is something interesting that will be really exciting to see from to other people.
Thank you, dear Mila. Volodymyr, do you believe that art has a real impact on city citizens and it can be a tool for education?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, because we have huge experience from of this impact for different people, just for children, for people with disabilities. And I want just to tell you a few words about our project that we are currently working on. It is the reality show called Mom, I'm Going to Be an Actor. So the participants in this show are people over 45 years old. They take master classes and study acting, and at the end of the project they will present a documentary show about their life. And this show will be on Ukrainian television. And when we came up with it, we just didn't know, is it interesting for people who are older than 45 years? And for us, it was just amazing, because 25 people came to the casting. We selected 9 people. The oldest one is 75 years old. And for me, the main result of this project so far is that lots of people from this project, they are just living life by this project, because for them it's just the most important thing in their lives for now is our project. And we asked them why it is so, and they told us that at this age they have just very few opportunities to participate in anything in an art sphere, because they are just like a blank space for people, because lots of projects for youngsters, for children, and just nothing for these people like 40, 50. So sometimes we just do not understand how art is important for people. And I think we just should involve people from different age groups, from different, I mean, parts of the life, from not only just, I mean, youngsters, not only from our sphere, just from everything, because people, I just wanted to involve in something interesting, and art, of course, is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, dear Volodymyr, and thank you for this experience, because I know exactly that it is very difficult to engage senior people of so-called the third age in the countries which are post-Soviet. There is a special mentality, and old people don't trust the society and the state, and actually it's very difficult to involve them into social activity. Yeah, you have a great experience in it. And Arsen, can you also tell about your opinion, whether the art can make impact, and especially impact as a tool of civic education?
Yes, I obviously think that it has an impact in civic education and also in public life every day. I think what we're missing a little bit when we have the part of the art, we are more harmonic. So that's, I think, very important for me to say that education, for me, it's like the pillar, is like the wall of the state, and also the most important time of the human life. So in that important time, when you have a part of art, your education, it will let you think openly and to improve the ability also to create. Art, of course, the art you can transfer the message through museums, to theaters, to exhibitions, in different activities. And also I think that for the everyday life, it's very important to respect most important things, that the knowledge is very important and the values is very important to have in our mind, the behavior and all that things, it will transfer the art to the education. So we have to not forget about these simple things before making art, before transferring one place to the other place. I also think that in Sweden, they have in the schools, they teach the human rights education, the education of tolerance. It's also a very important issue to have all this, to be able to have the impact.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, our dear speakers, for participating in the discussion. So it was the main part of it. And now we can answer the questions from the audience. And I have some questions which were sent to us by mail. And the question is, can art and culture serve as a unique language for intercultural dialogue between the conflict states and nations? Well, actually, there are some representatives among you, representatives of the countries which are in conflicts. Do you think that art can be a tool of softening different conflicts, talking not about political or border conflicts, but the conflicts between different communities and the conflicts between different points of view? Volodymyr, can you start answering?
Yeah, you know, it's a, I think, very hard question, especially for people from countries where we have war. In Ukraine, you know, we have a war for 7 years, I think. Mostly, I think that an art can just help to realize that people are the same in Ukraine, in Russia, in Armenia, in Sweden, because the main thing is not the borders. The main thing is what is inside our minds and what principles we have, what we want to bring to people. And so for me, I think people of art should bring humanism to their works firstly. And then if you have this background of humanism, your works will have an impact and they will help to softening these problems, I think.
Thank you. Arsen, the same question to you. Do you think the dance can unite different communities? And can you please be more precise about different approaches? You tell about people who used to understand classical dance, but how contemporary dance differs and how can it unite people of different point of views?
I would just start like this. I think every a nation, when they have a conflict, but in the same time they have this very deep and cultural side, which has to be very respectful from one to another country. How we can soften it up, and I think it's a great example that we have international festivals when different countries are gathering together and showing their own country and the culture and having the respect. I think the respect is the most important thing, that because for example, Armenia, we live in a region where it can be very similar, a lot of things, a music, a dance, a movement. One can say it's mine, the other can say it's mine, no? And it can be in conflict even in that. So what we need, of course, we need to separate all that, and we need to be it's a sensitive subject, but it has to be done, because every country, they have their own background, and how to make it soft, and how to not bring into conflict even in the culture. I think it's that all these international festivals that it's organized, it's a very good point, that they can just gathering together different nations, sitting around one table. I think that's already doing a big step to solve something, because I've seen many times, especially in this region, that people fight about things, that this music is our and this is not our. But I believe that there is always a way to find. There is just, you need to be kind to each other. The kindness is the key, like Dalai Lama will say, and solving it in the rather modern way or classical way, it doesn't matter. I think the matter is the message, that you are not with your idea or with your creativity, you don't attack one to another. That's very also important issue, because I've seen some pieces, some ballets that provocation is not a good thing. So we need to find this balance to be able to make it soft, this issue.
Thank you. And a question to Mila. Mila, can you reflect on cognitive aspects of art, especially on how it affects the environment, perception, mindsets, habits in our daily life?
Yeah, sure. I think that everything that we create is an art form in a certain way. So everything what we design, in fact, design us. So being responsible for what we're doing and what we're creating, we're responsible as well for their circumstances, right? And for the end result. So I think that in the last century, like if we talk about art history, in last century, the famous architect Le Corbusier, he started and he developed an idea of open spaces, which was a big step towards integration and communication between the workers in the office. And nowadays, those spaces called co-working, right? And those spaces are the perfect example how artists, because architecture is also an artist, and they create a space for the whole society. And the more sustainable they doing it, the more productive and the more creative people then become. And I think that there is one important thing which called collective memory, and art is one of part of the collective memory. And by doing the small projects between different countries, we need to try to learn from the diversity of the cultures. And this diversity is a really bright and really excellent thing, in which every one of us will find something better and something that you can bring to your own country and make it better.
Thank you, dear Mila. One more question to Vladimir. you have some positive experience of working with specific groups like disabled people and orphans. Tell us, please, if you use some special methods or the attitudes and approaches are the same with the people who are not vulnerable, and is art here working as a therapy?
Yeah, I absolutely agree that our working with people with disabilities or the children from orphanage is a therapy, because I told you they could hardly talk before. And for me and for my wife, because it's our family theater, for us, it is very important not to divide people into different classes. He is normal, he is not normal, he can do something, he cannot do something. For people with disabilities, it's very important to show them that they are just equal. They are just like others, and it's true, because when they are on a stage, they are just artists and nothing at all. It's just artists. And for these people, it is very important, because before they had like some theater classes, and it was always like a children place, like a fairy tales. And it is not normal when people who are like 30 years old, 40 years old, they are playing bunnies, like small bears, because they are people with problems with their lives, with their love, and they want just to be like others. They want to show problems like other artists, and for them before it was a problem. So I think when these people from this vulnerable spheres, when they see that for us they are just like all other people, it helps them to integrate into society more, and it helps us just to improve their knowledges in any just part of their lives.
Yeah, thank you. That's an interesting experience. And we have one more question in my messenger. It's to all of you, so you will take turns answering it. And the question is, what challenges culture and art faces now, and what steps the artists should make in order to solve it and make art a crucial tool for change? Arsene, if you are ready, can you please try to answer?
Which challenges we're facing now? We're facing pandemic, so that's the challenges we're facing, and hopefully now we will slowly open up our stages, our schools, and we will be able to help the young artists again to be able to continue their work. In order to make it crucial, I think we have to just continue doing our job well, not closing our eyes, even though it's a very difficult situation in our world. Some countries war, some countries in the world having pandemic, but we need to find if we found it, to teach it online. I think that's one of the tools that we need to continue doing it, online discussions and trainings and mind trainings and physical training, yes, everything. So that's one of the tools. In Sweden, I've been very lucky because they never shut down the country, so we were able to continue giving art to, but generally it was not a great situation. So the only tool basically we had, it was online to continue working with the young students. Yes, that's all I think what I can say at the moment. I hope we can also start to have bigger audience, because big productions are very also important to involve many people, so everyone can grow in big productions, because we've been doing a very small everything, not having many people same time working, not touching each other, not so I hope that it's also gonna slowly disappear and it can come back to the normal life.
Thank you. Volodymyr, can you please give us your opinion about the challenges to culture and art?
I think the first and the most important challenge for art people now is just to survive, you know, because especially I mean theater, because I think cinemas, movies, for them it's less problems than for people from theaters, because it was just 1 year and a half without anything. And then I think because art people can transfer experience into some art things. So I think art people should now try to understand what happened with us through this pandemic times. And I think we should make more humanistic some books, movies, something more happy, more funny, something not very heavy to understand, because now we have a time where we have lots of pressure from different parts of our life. So I think in a next few years we should keep our mental health in some box, not to have huge problems, mental problems, because lots of countries now are struggling with it. So I think that art in a few years, in a few next years, should be more like entertain people, I think.
Thank you for your opinion. Arsen and Volodymyr were the representatives of performative arts, performing or performative, and Mila is representative of visual art. Mila, what challenges to culture and art do you see?
Of course, the pandemic plays now a big role. Everything was closed for almost 2 years. I mean, all the art galleries and museums. But of course, it was a hard time. But in the other hand, we found many creative ways to show our works and to transfer our messages to audience in different ways using technologies. So I couldn't say it was a really bad time. Yes, maybe it was, but in the other way, in the other hand, it was a perfect chance to make a new experience for the viewers. Because I saw a couple of times when people are coming to the exhibition, right, and they are standing in front of the picture or photography or graphics. So they see something, they go outside and they forget it. So the most important thing is to make that interaction and make an experience. So the viewer will keep with him or her something when he's stepping out from the gallery. So that is for me the most important challenges every time when I'm doing a certain projects. So artists should always put a question mark. We need to ask a question to the viewers. So then the viewer will have its own space to answer and to think about the topic.
Thank you. If the other speakers have some comments to what Mila has said or to this issue, you're welcome. Actually, I think that another challenge is transferring into online format, because online format isn't so active, it isn't working with our physical body. Actually, people mostly are watching what another person is doing, but he or she is not so involved actually into the practice. So we have to rethink our attitude to digitalization and online format. And this is also a challenge which we have to struggle and to understand how to live in future and how to make art in digital format and in online format. If you have any comments on it, please, you're welcome.
I absolutely agree with you, but the problem is for theaters, for people from this sphere, it's very hard to transform their pure energy into digital format, and it was great to watch lots of beautiful plays from the best world theaters through this pandemic times. But I think people will never like to see plays on a TV. They want to smell sweat of artists. They want to see these emotions in just a few meters. So for a theater, it's a little bit a problem.
Is it the same with dance, Arsen?
I agree with Vladimir. It's exactly same. It's hard to transfer feeling through, through computer. I think what we tried to do just to keep the base, it's more working on technique, more working on the physicality. That's what we did through online. Musicality, absolutely, that also is possible, even though sometimes the music was a little bit late there, you could hear late, or the person, but still we tried to do these little elements as much as possible. And the biggest issue is the space, because a lot of people, they were just online at home, in the kitchen or in the living room, so it was not possible to do many things. So we just keep the base, the form, that they just could stay at least in the physical form. Yeah.
And no special atmosphere,
No.
no black box, as you said. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
and when you are watching some plays on a TV, you mostly you lose concentration. It's very hard to just dig inside it and just look for an hour and more. It's not like in a theater.
Yeah, great. You can't cut the noises of different origin. Yeah. And Mila, what about visual arts? Do you think that digitalization and online format is a challenge for visual arts, or maybe an advantage?
I think it's opportunity. I think this is an opportunity to create something new. And as I could say, like from my lectures with my students, it's hard to keep them concentrated all the time. I know it, because someone is just turning off the camera, someone is sleeping or something else. But I made an online board, and like every 5 minutes, everyone should write something or should draw something on this board. So this is like a communication between the students. So we kind of managed to do that, but still, I think people need to touch and to see it by their own eyes, the work, right? Because the flat picture on the screen doesn't give the sense of the work. We still need to have the person contact. We still need to have this conversation. So it's important, but I couldn't say that the digitalization is bad for visual arts. So it's a question for the artist, whether he would prefer to make a digital art or the traditional way.
Yeah, thank you. But anyway, it seems to be more optimistic in visual arts than in performative arts.
Yeah.
Okay, our dear participants, if you have no questions, I would like to say sincere thank you words to all our speakers, Arsen Mehrabyan, Mila Ovsienko, Volodymyr Nyankin, and our manager, Narina Teknechyan. Of course, to EENCE, Eastern European Network for Citizen Education, for the great opportunity to take part in this discussion and implement the ideas for our future practices for the sake of living in safe, inclusive, and comfortable cities. Thank you very much for participating. Please welcome to our next discussion, which will be held in Russian. It will be on the 17th of July. Please be informed and please promote our poster competition devoted to civic education, because anyone can take part, even amateurs. And the awards are great for everyone, so it will be also promoted. And please be engaged, participate with EENCE, and I think that together we will really have an impact.
Thank you, Rima. Thank you to the audience for their active participation, for their questions. The questions were really challenging and interesting. Thank you for Volodymyr, Arsen, Mila, as well as Rima for taking care of the panel discussion, for bringing into the center the perspectives, thoughts, ideas, approaches from Sweden, Ukraine, and Poland. Thank you for bringing into the center different ways of culture, different approaches of art, such as theater, visual art, photography, digital art, as well as theater. Thank you for your contribution. See you next time during the next EENCE Club, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Stay inspired. Goodbye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.